Hello, my podcast people, and thank you for joining me for yet another episode of my favorite podcast. If you're tuning, listening, listening in, on the day that it drops, it is Monday, April 21st, not the 14th. I have the wrong date written here. The 21st. Welcome to the back end of April. We got my guy with me. If you're watching, you got Roops here with us. Give zero fucks. A few life updates, and then we'll hop into the main episode, which is, should you start a Substack? I think you folks already know what I'm going to say, but I'm actually very excited to get into that. And I have a lot written down, so let's get into the life updates. So first off, I recorded myself playing volleyball. Wow. That was unfortunate. So usually we don't record just because it's kind of hard to share the videos. They're long. And so I use this thing called Sporfy that Kim had put me onto. And I was like, all right, I'm going to record it. It's just games and I can send it to the other. It's like a link and everyone else can watch it. Wow. It's one of those things where you're like, wow, I thought I was way better. So while I know I've said in previous episodes that, the game is slowing down, it is. But my technique needs to be picking up. So it's a net positive, because I have specific things to work on, but it was a humbling experience. So speaking of volleyball, it is volleyball season. Yes, I play all year round, but it's actually the appropriate season now, which means that basically the only thing on our TV is volleyball. Spent last Saturday down in Huntington Beach for the AVP qualifier watching Kim. I'm excited for her, and I'm excited for her season, which is not nearly as long as it should be or could be, because the AVP is yet another example of a business that is running itself into the ground. I feel like maybe I'll do an episode at some point on the AVP as a business and just this whole need to have versus nice to have, and how that plays into sports as a business, because we see plenty of sports. Those are just nice to have, and they are making zillions of dollars. And the AVP is not. And it's really unfortunate to me. And it's kind of perplexing. And maybe I'll dive into it in an episode. But moving forward, let's talk about TV. Finished Severance. No spoilers. Don't worry. I'm not going to say anything about it. But I finished Severance. And as of the time that this episode drops, I will have finished Wheel of Time. I enjoy watching TV. That's the take home from this little part. I enjoy watching it. I don't beat myself up about it. I watch it every night. I'm always looking for new shows. But I'm not looking for recommendations for new shows. I don't trust people. People got bad taste. I said what I said. But I did watch Severance, and I enjoyed it. Lex slept through most of it. But I did enjoy it. I have thoughts. If anyone wants to chat about it, slide into the old DMs. But let's hop into the main topic, shall we? Main topic today. Should you start a Substack? Now, I don't really love making things black and white. Although last week's episode, which we will link, thank you, Courtney, and thank you to myself. I am now doing the editing and such for the YouTubes. And by editing, I mean the little stuff that has to get written and everything in the blurb part and stuff. I'm doing that now because my guy Jojo's on, and I'm doing the thumbnails because my guy Jojo is on paternity leave. So shout out to Courtney and then shout out to me. But last week's episode, I talked about should you display your prices? Black and white, yes. Always, no nuance. Fucking put them up everywhere all the time. But as it relates to Substack, maybe there is slightly more nuance here. But in general, no. I do not think you should start a Substack. All right, let's chat. So first off, what is Substack? If you're listening to this episode, watching this episode, it's a good chance you know what it is, because that's why you're watching this episode or listening. But if you don't know what Substack is, or maybe you've heard of it and you're like, yeah, I heard it, but I don't really know. I asked ChatGPT to give me a succinct, simple sentence, and here's what it gave me, and I agree with it. Substack is a platform that lets writers publish and monetize their newsletters directly to subscribers. It combines email and blogging into one space, giving creators full control over their content and audience. So, perhaps at face value, sounds good. Question mark? Publishing newsletters, that's a good thing. Monetizing newsletters, that's a good thing. Control over your content and audience, also a good thing. So what's my gripe? It's a lie. That's what my gripe is. You don't own it. It's really hard to monetize. And there's just a better way to fucking do it. All right. So I'm going to refer you back to episode 649. Thank you, Courtney. Thank you, myself. That was professionalizing the creator economy. And the take home from that is that I want you to own your shit. I want you to have full control over your shit. I want you to future-proof, pandemic-proof your shit. I want you to be in charge of how and when you get paid. I want you to utilize every single bit of technology that we have available that allows us to cut out the middleman. Right? When we cut out the middleman, we keep more money, which means we need less people. Yes, I know you want to help everybody, but one, everybody doesn't want your help. That's the first thing. And two, it's a strain when you're just like, man, I got to keep finding new people, or I got to find like a zillion people. If you can keep more money that you're earning, you don't need as many customers. Plain and simple. You don't have to raise the prices either. So the number one reason I think people use Substack is because they believe it's going to help them with the hardest part of business, which is customer acquisition. Right? And this is very much within the context of business, aka making money. Right? The subheading on the Substack website says, building a new economic engine for culture. That is a lot of words, a lot of fucking words. A little further down the page, a lot of words, it says a lot of nothing, right? A little further down the page, it says, when subscribers pay writers and creators directly, they can focus on doing the work they care about most. A few hundred paid subscribers can support a livelihood. A few thousand makes it lucrative. Yes, absolutely. Math, I agree. Right? I mean, this is actually simple math that we see used quite often that is nonsense. Gets people in, but it's not actual real math, right? So simple math here, charge $7, get 1,000 people, and you're making bank, $7,000 a month, easy. Right? More on this math later. The big question we should be asking is, where are these people coming from? Where are these 1,000 people coming from? Enter Substack. If, friends, it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Substack is just like any other social media platform. It will favor people with bigger audiences, right? It will. So if you're going to get like featured, it's because you already have some massive audience that you grew, right? It's not like the platform's actually doing you any favors. Personal audience, your own personal audience, tends to be the most effective source of growth. Meaning when people like come from a different platform and move to another, that tends to be the most helpful in terms of having an audience size. We saw this with Threads, right? People that came from Instagram, you already had an audience. You had a high number there. There is not necessarily the opposite, where sometimes you'll see people have a bunch of followers on Threads and not very many on Instagram. That's very real, right? And I want to talk about this in a little bit in terms of, actually, I'll talk about it right now, right? So if we're thinking about Substack growth or having a lot of people on there, oftentimes it's that these folks that come to Substack and then have these massive audiences, they brought their audience from somewhere else, from a more traditional social media platform like Instagram, right? Or Threads, right? Or from a traditional media outlet like a newspaper. They're like, some big name, and now they have their own personal thing, and people are like, yeah, I'm going to follow you over there. It's not that they just grew organically on this thing, right? Realistically, you're just going to be promoting your Substack on your Instagram to get subscribers. So promote your own site instead, right? This is where this whole thing is headed, is that it's not that I don't want you to blog. I actually have a blog. I never talk about it because I kind of just revived it, and it's just really largely for my own thoughts, but it's on my website, right? Put this shit on your own website instead. Like, don't go to something else that you don't own, right? Yes, recommendations as it relates to social media can help if a bigger account recommends you. That's absolutely what we see in terms of social media, right? Where like you get reposted by somebody else, and then their followers actually respect them and trust them, and you are speaking about something that their followers care about, then yeah, you can grow. I'm thinking about Ked's Economist, right? I spoke about her on like a few episodes ago. I found her account through Katie. And Katie is, what is her name? She's Money with Katie. That's her podcast. But I found Money with Katie brought Ked's Economist on. And so I found it that's through that. And you can see growth because of that. This idea of like virality or just getting pushed natively on Substack, it doesn't exist the same way that it exists on social media, right? It's just not the same thing. And so my gripe is that Substack really looks to push that. All these platforms look to say that. And I have an issue when it comes to people tricking people into being like, yeah, you can monetize it this way. And I'm like, it doesn't work that way, right? Like YouTube isn't out there just like making people go viral automatically and just like kind of giving things out like this. Like there's an algorithm to it. There is there's a method behind this. And they're not promoting that you're going to be able to make money on this thing, right? That's where my issue is, that Substack is really trying to be like, hey, you can come here and make money. Meanwhile, it's not like they're just going to be paying you to create. Like, that's the difference with YouTube. It's like the platform eventually pays you. This is like, hey, come here, bring people, and maybe they'll pay you and you can use our payment processor. Like, what? Even with recommendations on ConvertKit, which we're going to talk about, because that is my email marketing provider that I recommend. They have like a recommendations thing, and it's like, you're not going to blow up through that thing either. Like, it doesn't work out like that. We all know that word of mouth is the best referral source. But when you ask people to refer you or refer friends, like, you don't get like a rush of fucking people coming in. It just doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way in person. It doesn't work that way online, right? Especially when what they're trying to market here is that people are going to pay you. It's one thing if it's like, okay, maybe you'll grow in followers, because I guess they're called subscribers, but they won't be paid, right? Maybe they'll read your stuff, but like, we're trying to get people to pay. That takes time and trust. And for Substack to put that as like the front thing, the front marketing piece, I do take issue with that, right? So if Substack was touting itself as another social media platform, this time it's for readers and writers, I have no qualms with that. But it really positions itself as this like new age, quote unquote, disruptive platform where writers can make money. And like, that's at the front of their marketing and messaging, and where they will help writers to make money. And it's just not the case, right? Are people earning money on there? For sure. Absolutely. But it's folks who already had audiences, not folks who were blown up by this amazing recommendation network on Substack, right? Sharon says so. I love her. She's a perfect example. She's making a killing, and I actually do pay for her Substack, namely as a way to support her. I would rather she hosted it somewhere else and I could pay there, and I don't have to at all support this platform, but it's what it is, right? I'd love to pay her directly. It's the main reason that I pay her. Yes, it is also nice to have access to some of the things that are behind a paywall, but like, I don't really need it. It's largely because I'm like, dude, you do so much good work. Like, here's $7 or whatever, $10. I don't even know how much it is a month, like some nominal fee. I literally never look at anyone that's recommended. I don't even know if they'd recommend. I'm like, get out of here. I don't want this shit. I'm literally on there for Sharon, and I'm definitely not going to go and pay for someone that it's recommended me. Like, immediately no. So what's the solution, right? Because I'm not here to just complain. Understand that the audience, they're going to come from general socials, right? I think that actually a Threads is a really good starting place because people are already reading, right? The mediums are the same. If anything, if I'm going to join anyone's like newsletter or anything like that, it's because I've been reading stuff from them on Threads, and I'm like, oh, you have really good ideas, you're really helpful stuff. Or I've been reading stuff from them, seeing stuff from them on Instagram, and I'm like, cool, I want more of this, right? They have good information in other places that lends itself to me and people wanting to learn more, right? This is definitely good for learners and people that are deep divers. That may be somewhat of a personal bias, right? Because it's how I use it, as like for learning and deep diving. But it's how I see it used. And I'm guessing that a lot of you watching this, listening to this, are the same. So it works out. My play here, my solution here is that you host this shit on your own website. Like, what are we doing? Host it on your own website, or at least with your own email marketing service provider. Again, my favorite is ConvertKit. It does this. You can have a paid newsletter if you want. You could have a paid blog on your website. You just need to have it be behind a paywall, right? The goal here, the thing that I'm just like so fired up about, is that when it comes to getting paid, I want you to get paid. I'm sick of these platforms being like, okay, we reduced a little bit of friction, and so now we're going to keep so much of your money. And I was like, fuck it, I'll just take some of that friction, because it's usually this one time when you're setting it up, and then you keep all that margin. Right? Substack keeps a portion. They just like Patreon, right? Substack keeps a portion, and the creator ends up seeing about 87% of the payment that comes in. With something like Hit, you're simply paying the 3.5% plus 30 cents per transaction, right? The transaction fee. It's very typical. Right? Because what happens with Substack is you're paying that 3.5% plus 30 cent transaction fee. And then on top of that, it takes 10%. Right? Yes, with something like ConvertKit, you were also paying for the subscribers, but they have a free tier for up to 10,000 subscribers, but you only get one automation. Don't use that tier, but they do have it. The $25 a month creator plan gives you up to 1,000 subscribers, and that works out to be about 2 cents per subscriber. All right, so if we go back to that original easy math of get 1,000 subscribers, charge $7, you're going to make bank. Okay, let's do that. And now let's compare the two. Let's compare Substack and your own platform, or Substack and ConvertKit. Right? So $7 a month for your paid newsletter, 1,000 subscribers. With ConvertKit, right, the gross revenue would be $7,000, right? It's 7 times 1,000 subscribers. The Stripe fee of 3.5% plus 30-cent transaction fee ends up being about $545 in fees. And then if you add on the $25 per month fee for like the kit plan, that's $570 in, right? $570 in fees, which means your net is $6,430 a month. That's fucking amazing. Right? Substack, same thing here. $7 a month, 1,000 subscribers. That means that your gross is $7,000. We have the Stripe fee. Again, it's the same. So that'd be $545 plus that 10%. It's so much. Oh my God. The 10% Substack fee. That's $700 a month for a total of $1,245 in fees that you're paying here. That means your net earnings are $5,755, right? That shit adds up, man. You are losing you're losing $675 a month if you go with Substack. A month, that adds up. I understand that there's a cost for convenience, but that's too fucking much of a cost. All right, the convenience is largely the tech component. It's not that they're going to be feeding you subscribers. All right, it's not the customer acquisition side. And that tech component, like, I get it. Tech trips people up, but fuck, tech tenacity is one of the things that's at the heart of being an online business owner. And it's also at the heart of keeping way more of the money that you are earning. Right? I actually dove into the tech side of this a bit while I was outlining this episode to see, like, if I wanted to run my own website, I have a WordPress website, like, how could I do this? And the Kit WordPress integration is dope. Right? Kit in general is dope because it has an RSS to email feature, which means that you can have your blog posts get sent directly as emails. All right, that's amazing. I know that for some of you that goes over your head, but suffice to say, you could make a blog post on your website and have it be pushed out automatically when it publishes, or you could have like a summary one that goes out like on every Friday. And that's a free part of Kit. That's great. All right, the Kit to WordPress integration can also have broadcasts. So the emails that you send from ConvertKit, you can have them be published to your website as blog posts. All right, that's amazing. It's all part of just having Kit. Then when it comes to paywalling things, right, there is a little bit more tech that can be involved, or you can just go natively and have a paid newsletter through Kit. Right, but you could also do some more functionality and have like basically kind of like a paywall membership kind of thing that would still work. This is like a little bit more tech involved. And all that to, if you want to nerd out on it, by all means DM me. I'm happy to nerd out. Right, but all that to say, you can do a lot and you can do it on your own, and you can keep way more of the money that you are earning, that you're bringing in, which means you need less customers. Might there be a little more friction for the customer? Yes, that's okay. People are fucking adults. We have made things, Ellen has a stand-up routine where she talks about like people, remember those things that like the breath strips are just like melted in your mouth? And it's like, that's where we're at, where people can't even like chew. They can't even chew gum. They can't even like suck on a fucking like mint. They're just like, put the thing in my mouth so it disintegrates and just does everything for me. Like, it's okay if there's a little bit of friction for the people to find something, or if it's not like this super pretty like thing. Like, it's okay. Look where we're at and how we got here. And part of that is that we're just trying to like make things so seamless and frictionless, and like people don't have to do anything. And it's just like, it's okay if your customers do some things. So if you Google Substack Drama, you can read for yourself some of the other issues, the bigger issues, the kind of socioeconomic, the social issues that I and other people have with supporting Substack in general. Namely their willingness to support literal Nazis. But I don't want this episode to be like a smear campaign against Substack. I actually was reading a piece about Substack, and it was just like, this feels skewed because it was written by like another kind of player that offers a similar thing as Substack. And I was like, I don't like that, right? It's I'm not a huge fan of the anti-positioning marketing or anti-position marketing. I'm just like, what do you have? And it's just like, it was just so like smeary. And I'm like, you folks here, you can form your own opinions about the policies and politics of Substack, but I will raise your, open your eyes hopefully to the fact that like there are policies and politics surrounding Substack that I don't like, that are based on my values. It's up to you and your values, right? But speaking of values, the real impetus for this episode, the real inspiration for this episode is that I see folks looking for another place to acquire eyes, given the very fickle nature of Instagram, like the Instagram algorithm. And I just see people being like, this isn't working. I'm tired of it. I'm just going to like go over here. And I'm like, that's fine. If you just want to create, okay. Right. You have heard my hesitation to really continue to promote Instagram, just given the predatory nature of the owners and like these big companies that don't give a fuck about the individual user. Like I'm already on Instagram, and the cost benefit is still in my favor in terms of like my people are there and I can help people there, so I'm still there. But when that like becomes unbalanced, like I'm out. Like it's just, so all that to say, Substack is no different. So that's why I'm like, don't fucking start. Especially when they're blatantly lying and being like, we're going to feed you customers. And I'm like, but you're not. Right? I'm over here trying to hold up a sign that's saying, if you are leaving a social media platform, you're leaving Instagram or something. She's like, I'm going over there. You are literally jumping out of the pan and into the embers of a burgeoning fire. Right? We see with Substack, they've added video, they've added podcasts, and it's just like, y'all just want people's money. Stop saying that you're this like disruptive new age. We're for the creator. We're for the writer, rather. Be honest. You're not. I just want transparency. You don't care about the creators. You care about making money. Fucking taking 10%, 5%, okay. It's still a lot, but like I get it. For some people, it's just like this is like just such a heavy lift with the tech and tech side of stuff. Okay, I can get it. But my guess is if it's such a heavy lift with the tech and you can't like outsource it, the time, like you're very new in your business, and I wouldn't put your beginning writings on something that you don't own. Like put it on your own fucking website. I cannot support this. Like it just doesn't make any sense. This is something that you can absolutely 100% house on your own website. Patreon, I give it a little bit more grace because of the functionality of just like having the tiers, and then it was for artists, and it was like videos and all these things that like there is a bit more friction with that, and a website and things like that. But like this is literally a blog with a fucking paywall. Like what? Yes, there is an RSS to email component of that, meaning that when something gets published to the website, quote unquote, it would get sent to your email. Basically all email things can do that now. Right? ChatGPT can help you, can literally walk you through what you need, how to do it. So no, I do not believe that 10% should be going to that platform, especially when that platform doesn't seem to stand for, in my opinion, and according to my values, good things. All right. So if you want to start a Substack, go ahead, right? You're an adult. Do what you want to do. I'm not here to shame anyone. But if you want my opinion on whether or not you should start a Substack, which is why you're listening to this, my opinion is no. I get it. Folks want growth, but Substack is not the answer. All right. For what it's worth, neither is the ConvertKit, recommendation network thing. Right? Growth on any platform takes time. I say it all the time. It is a long play game that not everybody even gets to win. You could be like, I've been in it forever, and you could still not have won the game. There is a big luck component to social media, traditional social media. Absolutely. All right. And if you take it a step further, if we're looking to make this into paying customers, and they're not just paying us in attention, they're paying us in money, that takes even longer. Even longer. And it is all still ultimately, but it is all still ultimately founded in trust, which is mostly helped by, or greatly helped by, social media. Right? And the familiarity and relationship imbalance that it fosters. When I say relationship imbalance, it's like, hey, this person is like giving me something every day, helping me out all the time. I just want to like say thank you. Right? Social media allows for that. You get to pick what medium that is. And if you're a writer, go ahead. Have a blog. Where are you going to promote it? Probably on another platform where people read. Right? So you could do it on Instagram, right? Instagram started out as a platform where people do read stuff, right? That's what the caption length is 2,200 characters. Like people will read, and I see people put carousels up. Like, yes, people will read. And Threads is a phenomenal way as well. It's like, because it's all just written stuff. All right. And then we can use something like Instagram to show me your personality. What do you like? Right. And then we can go ahead and look to push them to a paid written, thing, paid newsletter or whatever. But either way, the growth takes time. No platform is just going to blow you up. No one's just going to feed you leads. It doesn't work that way ever. And if we take this and liken it to the in-person realm, and I just had a coaching call about this, right? This is why if you're an employee, you don't make as much money. Should the gap be smaller? Yes. But all this to say, as an employee of like a physical therapy practice, if you're just getting fed clients, they're doing the hard part. You're doing technically the fun part, which is treating, right? But they are doing a very difficult part, which is getting people through the door. Right? So just keep that in mind. No one's just going to hand you leads. They're trying to justify, Substack is trying to justify that 10% cut by being like, we're feeding you leads. And it's like, but you're not doing that. So again, if it was just touting itself as just like, hey, this is another social media platform that's for long form content, cool. Long form written content, cool. But it's not. It's saying, hey, come make money. And I'm like, just do that shit on your own website. All right? All right. And if I'd be remiss if I didn't say this, if you're looking to just write, that's your thing, and you want to get found via your written stuff, then that's going to be SEO. Right? And Lex, that is her thing. She is the queen, the SEO sensei. Like that is her thing. So I will link her. She has actually, when this comes out, I think when this episode comes out, I think the waitlist will be closed for her SEO school, but public launch will be starting probably the week after. So either way, I'll link her stuff, her website and her Instagram. So if you're looking for the SEO side of things, then that's who you want to be going to. And that's if you're like, hey, I want to get discovered by people like Googling things, they like to read. That's how you're going to do it. Okay. All right. That's it. I'm looking at the time. A little bit longer this week, making up for the short one from last week. As always, endlessly appreciative for every single one of you. Until next time, friends, Maestro out.